Bayern Munich. The German Giants had an amazing season in 2001. Bayern Munich had claimed their 16th Bundesliga title with 63 points. But it was pure luck. They were losing 1-0 to Hamburg on the final match day, which meant Schalke would win the title. They won an indirect free kick on stoppage time. Patrick Anderson scored his only goal and won his team their 16th title. However, there was Champions League on the line, and Bayern was facing Valencia, which finished La Liga in 5th place and was a strong candidate. The match started, and it was not going good for Bayern. Patrick Anderson, the same person who scored a goal in the last minute and won Bayern their 16th Bundesliga title, made a handball which caused Valencia to take a penalty kick and take the lead on the 3rd minute. But just 4 minutes later, Bayern would win a penalty and have a chance to turn the tables. They would surely score. Right? Wrong. Santiago Canizares saved the penalty, and Valencia remained the upper hand. On the 50th minute, however, Bayern would receive another penalty, but this time they would score and draw against Valencia in the finals. When the full-time whistle was blown, the score was still 1-1. Nothing changed in the extra time, and the champions would be decided via penalty kicks. Bayern took the first penalty and missed horribly. This led to demoralization among the team. The next 4 penalties were goals, and now it was 3-3 and Valencia's turn to take the next penalty. Zlatko Zahovic was behind the ball, and when he kicked the ball, the legendary goalkeeper Oliver Kahn saved the penalty. Bayern now had the chance to draw against Valencia once again. It was now Patrick Anderson's turn to take the penalty. He was anxious. He knew that he was the reason his team almost lost the trophy, and he knew he needed to score this penalty. He stood behind the ball, and when the whistle was blown, he kicked the ball, but it was saved by Canizares once again. He was devastated. He knew that in order for them to win the trophy, they needed a miracle. And the miracle happened just then. Valencia missed a penalty for the 2nd time and gave Bayern another hope to win. The next few penalties were scored, and now the score was 6-5, Bayern being in the lead. If Valencia missed the next penalty, Bayern would be the winners of the Champions League. Pellegrino stood behind the ball, concentrated. The referee blew the whistle and he kicked the ball, but it was saved by Oliver Kahn, winning Bayern their 3rd Champions League title. Real Madrid. Real Madrid is usually the favorite club when it comes to the Champions League. They have won the Champions League 15 times before, if we include the times when it was called the European Cup. Since 2000, though, they have won it 8 times in total. But the most legendary win was by far La Decima in the 2013 to 2014 season. Atletico Madrid won that season with 90 points, and Barcelona and Real Madrid were both runner-ups with 87 points. Atletico Madrid had an amazing squad in that season. Thibaut Courtois, David Villa, Diego Costa, Arda Turan, Raul Garcia, and more. They were tough opponents to win against, but it was okay because Real Madrid was about to have one of the best Champions League stories of all time. The match started, and it was mostly head-to-head. Atletico Madrid scored on the 36th minute. Real Madrid still had a whole 45 minutes to score and equalize the match. The second half started. 70th minute passed, nothing happened. 80th minute passed, nothing happened. Even the 90th minute passed, but still, nothing happened. Real Madrid was losing hope, and it was clear that Atletico Madrid was about to win the Champions League. Out of the blue, Sergio Ramos scored his iconic goal at the 93rd minute. The game went on to extra time, where Real Madrid scored 3 more goals and won the trophy for the 10th time in their history. AC Milan. AC Milan did not meet the expectations in Serie A. Finishing 3rd, they were 4 points behind of Inter and 11 points behind Juventus, which finished at the top of the league. However, though, they were having a good Champions League run. AC Milan finished Champions League group stage 1st, even getting more points than Real Madrid. In the quarterfinals first leg, they drew against Ajax. In the second match, however, they beat Ajax 3-2 and proceeded to the semifinals where they encountered their longtime rival, Inter. On the first leg, neither teams could score. Similarly, on the second leg, both teams have each scored a goal, but due to the away goal rule, which is not valid anymore, they proceeded to the finals where they were against Juventus, the champions of Serie A. Juventus had an amazing team. Legendary players like Buffon, Del Piero, David Trezeguet were a part of it. Milan's lineup was just as strong as Juventus, and even better maybe. Dida, Maldini, Shevchenko, Inzaghi, Rui Costa, Nesta, Seedorf, Kaká, Andrea Pirlo were in the Milan's legendary squad. The match started at Old Trafford. Neither team scored in full time and extra time, so it was time for the penalty shootouts. Juventus had the first shot. Trezeguet was behind the ball. He kicked the ball, but it was saved by Dida. Milan now had the chance to take the lead, and they did with Serginho's penalty. Juventus responded, and now it was 1-1, and Milan's turn to take the penalty. Seedorf was behind the ball. Buffon was ready. Seedorf shot, but it was saved by Buffon. Juventus now had the chance to take the lead. Zalayeta took the ball and was ready to shoot. The whistle was blown. He shot his shot, shot, but it was again saved by Dida. Milan now was in advantage. Or were they? It was now Colazzi's turn to take the penalty. He took his shot, but it was once more saved by Buffon. Because they knew Juventus now could take the lead and potentially win the trophy, or so they thought. Montero stood behind the ball, eager to score. The referee blew the whistle and the shot was saved by Dida once again. Both goalkeepers saved a total of 5 penalties in the shootout. Eventually, the next 3 penalties were scored, and Milan won their first Champions League since 2000. FC Porto. Porto had a phenomenal season in the 2003-2004 Primeira Liga. They finished first, winning the league with 82 points, 8 points clear of their biggest rival Benfica. The Special Ones team was dominating Portuguese football, but what no one expected was that they would also dominate Europe. In the Champions League group stage, Porto finished second behind Real Madrid. In the round of 16, they shocked Manchester United. The second leg at Old Trafford is still remembered for that iconic last-minute goal by Costinha after Tim Howard's blunder. Porto were through. In the quarterfinals, they were up against Lyon. Porto won the first leg 2-0 and then drew 2-2 away, booking a spot in the semifinals. By now, they were no longer just a lucky team. They were considered a serious threat. Their next opponent, Deportivo La Coruña, a Spanish side that had just eliminated Milan with a legendary 4-0 comeback. But the semifinals were a tight battle. The first leg ended 0-0. And in the second leg, Derlei scored a penalty to send Porto to the Champions League final. Porto was facing Monaco in the finals, 2 unexpected teams. Monaco had also surprised everyone by knocking out Real Madrid and Chelsea, but they were no match for Mourinho's Porto. The match started in Gelsenkirchen, and Porto was calm, focused, and lethal. Carlos Alberto opened the scoring in the 39th minute with a beautiful volley. In the second half, Deco made it 2-0 with a classic finish. And finally, Dmitry Alenichev sealed the deal. Porto had done it. Against all the odds, the underdogs managed to lift the Champions League title. Liverpool. Liverpool did not have a great season domestically. They finished 5th in the Premier League, collecting 58 points, far behind Chelsea, Arsenal, and Manchester United. They weren't England's top side by any means, but in Europe, they were about to write one of the most unforgettable stories in football history. Rafael Benitez's squad was far from the best on paper, but they did the unexpected. Liverpool finished second in their group behind AS Monaco, barely beating Olympiacos. They needed a 2-goal win in the final match of the group stage, and when Steven Gerrard scored that screamer in the 86th minute against Olympiacos, the journey truly began. In the round of 16, they crushed Bayer Leverkusen 3-1 home and away with a total score of 6-2. In the quarterfinals, they were facing Juventus, the Italian giants. Liverpool won 2-1 at Anfield with a goal from Luis Garcia. They held out for a 0-0 draw in Turin. They were through to the semifinals. In the semifinals, however, they were facing Chelsea, which was at the time directed by the Special One, José Mourinho. The tension was insane, 0-0 at Stamford Bridge. And then came the ghost goal. Luis Garcia scored in the 4th minute. Chelsea claimed it didn't cross the line, but the referee gave it. Anfield erupted. Liverpool held the line for 86 minutes straight, and when the full-time whistle was blown, they were going to the finals in Istanbul against AC Milan. One of the greatest squads ever assembled, including players like Maldini, Nesta, Pirlo, Kaká, Shevchenko. This wasn't going to be easy, but Liverpool had believed in themselves. But that belief turned out to be exactly the opposite of what they had hoped for. At the halftime, the score was 3-0, Milan being in the lead. Yes, 3-0. Liverpool fans had lost all hope now, but Liverpool players didn't. The second half started and something unbelievable happened. Steven Gerrard scored a header at the 54th minute, followed by Smicer, who scored a banger at the 56th minute. It was now 3-2, and Liverpool needed another goal to equalize. In the 60th minute, Gerrard won a penalty. Alonso missed, but they scored on the rebound. 3 goals in 6 minutes, the impossible had happened. It was now 3-3, and the game was going in extra time. Nothing changed at extra time, and it was now time for the penalties. Pirlo and Serginho missed their penalties, which caused Liverpool to take the lead. When it was 1-2, John Arne missed the shot, and Kaká scored, which made it 2-2. Schmeichel scored, and Shevchenko missed the last penalty, which caused Liverpool, against all odds, to be the winners of the Champions League. Barcelona. Pep Guardiola's Barca had an incredible season in 2010-11. They finished first in La Liga, collecting 96 points, only 4 ahead of Real Madrid. Barcelona was on fire, especially in Champions League. In the group stage, Barcelona finished first, unbeaten, but that wasn't even all. They faced Arsenal in the round of 16. They lost the first leg 2-1, but in the second leg, they were unstoppable. Lionel Messi scored twice, and Barcelona won 3-1 at Camp Nou. Arsenal didn't even manage a single shot in the second half. They were now against Shakhtar Donetsk in the quarterfinals. Everyone thought it might might be close. It wasn't. 5-1 in the first leg, 1-0 in the second. It was now time for the semi-finals. The biggest rivalry in world football, Barcelona versus Real Madrid. The first leg was in the notorious Bernabeu. Tensions were high. Then, Messi took over. 2 goals. One of them, a solo masterpiece. 2-0 to Barcelona. The second leg ended 1-1. Barcelona were heading to the finals. The opponent was Manchester United, a repeat of the 2009 final. But this one was even more one-sided. Barcelona didn't just win, they were in total control of the match. Pedro opened the scoring. Rooney equalized, but then Messi scored a thunderbolt from outside the box. And finally, David Villa curled it into the top corner, winning Barcelona the prestigious trophy with a 3-1 score. Legendary manager Sir Alex Ferguson called them the best team he had ever faced, and he wasn't wrong. Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, Busquets, Piqué, Dani Alves, David Villa. Barcelona were the champions of Europe for the 4th time. Manchester United. Manchester United had a brilliant 2007-2008 season. They won the Premier League with 87 points, just 2 ahead of Chelsea, led by a deadly attacking trio of Cristiano Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney, and Carlos Tevez. In the Champions League, they finished top of their group without losing a game. In the round of 16, they drew 1-1 away to Lyon, and at Old Trafford, Ronaldo scored the winner. In the quarter-finals, they faced Roma again, just like the year before, and made it look easy, winning 2-0 away and 1-0 at home. Then came the semi-finals against Barcelona. The first leg at Camp Nou ended 0-0, with United defending deep. In the second leg, Paul Scholes scored a thunderous goal from distance, and Old Trafford exploded. United were heading to the final, a Premier League showdown against Chelsea. Ronaldo opened the scoring with a header, but Lampard responded before halftime. The match dragged into extra time, tension rising. Then drama. Didier Drogba was sent off for slapping Nemanja Vidic. After Drogba was sent off, the game went to penalties. Ronaldo shocked everyone and missed his penalty. John Terry had the chance to win it for Chelsea, but he slipped. The ball hit the post. It was the last penalty. If Chelsea missed, Manchester United would win the trophy. The whistle was blown and Van der Sar saved Anelka's penalty. With that, Manchester United were the champions of Europe for the 3rd time in their history. Inter Milan. Inter Milan had a historic season in 2009-10 under José Mourinho. They won the Serie A with 82 points, just 2 ahead of Roma, and completed a legendary treble, Serie A, Coppa Italia, and the UEFA Champions League. In Europe, they had a tough group but managed to finish second behind Barcelona. In the round of 16, they beat Chelsea 2-1 at San Siro and 1-0 at Stamford Bridge. In the quarterfinals, they faced CSKA Moscow, winning both legs 1-0 with discipline and control. Then came the semi-finals against Pep Guardiola's Barcelona, which was a really tough one. That season, Barcelona won the La Liga with 99 points and had no chill. In the first leg at San Siro, Inter performed very well, beating Barca 3-1 with goals from Sneijder, Maicon, and Milito. The second leg at Camp Nou was pure survival. Inter played with 10 men after Thiago Motta was sent off early, but they defended like it was life or death and only lost 1-0, going through 3-2 on aggregate. The final was in Madrid against Bayern Munich. Inter stayed calm. Diego Milito scored twice and sealed the win. Inter Milan lifted their 3rd Champions League trophy and became the first Italian club to ever win the treble. It was Mourinho's masterpiece. Chelsea. Chelsea had an unexpected but unforgettable Champions League run in the 2020-21 season. They finished 4th in the Premier League with 67 points, well behind Manchester City, but in Europe they were a beast. Lampard being replaced by Tuchel changed the team completely. In the round of 16, they faced Atletico Madrid, the leaders of La Liga. Chelsea won 1-0 in the first leg with a stunning bicycle kick from Olivier Giroud, then finished the job with a 2-0 win at Stamford Bridge. In the quarter-finals, they beat Porto 2-0 in the first leg, and despite a late screamer from Porto in the second leg, Chelsea advanced. The semi-finals brought a huge challenge, Real Madrid. The first leg ended 1-1 in Spain, with Pulisic scoring a banger solo goal. In the second leg, Chelsea dominated. Timo Werner and Mason Mount scored, and it could have easily been more. Chelsea were heading to the finals. The opponent? Manchester City, Premier League champions and favorites to win. But Tuchel's Chelsea had other plans. They were going to defend like crazy, and it worked. With Kai Havertz scoring on the 42nd minute and Chelsea defending really well, they won the Champions League for the 2nd time in their history. Manchester City. Manchester City had a nearly flawless 2022-23 season, finally achieving what they had been chasing for over a decade. They won the Premier League with 89 points, 5 clear of Arsenal, and went on to complete a historic treble: Premier League, FA Cup, and the UEFA Champions League. In Europe, they finished top of their group without losing a single match. In the round of 16, they drew 1-1 away at RB Leipzig, but in the second leg at the Etihad, they demolished them 7-0, with Erling Haaland scoring 5 goals in one night. In the quarterfinals, they faced Bayern Munich. It was expected to be a close tie, but City dominated the first leg 3-0 and comfortably managed a 1-1 1-1 draw in Munich. Then came the semi-finals, a rematch with Real Madrid. The first leg at the Bernabeu ended 1-1, but the second leg at the Etihad was one of City's greatest ever performances. They destroyed the reigning champions 4-0 with total control and brilliance. They went to the finals where they were facing Inter Milan in Istanbul. It wasn't easy, but in the second half, Rodri scored the only goal of the match, a composed finish from the edge of the box. When the final whistle blew, they were champions of Europe for the first time in their history. Pep Guardiola had delivered the Champions League, and with it, the treble. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Comment down below your video ideas. See you soon.